shirt. Again.
It never fails. It never fails.
And the dog is barking.
It's like, oh my gosh, I have to pay so much money for all this shit, so I don't get all of it. Cause Max, he be barking.
Who the fuck is Max?
It's the dog.
Oh.
I will talk out the window, Max. Come on.
You know I'm trying
Come
to
on,
record
Max.
And it picks up everything.
It does.
Yeah.
It's stupid, and Max is stupid.
Poor Max.
I hate him. Hello, family, and welcome back to Redefine the Podcast. I'm your host, D. McCoy, and I am here with someone so special to me. Someone you guys have already met. Someone that is getting married soon and has her own dance studio and literally was just here. Destiny, say what's up.
What's up, y'all?
So Destiny and I Destiny decided, let's say that. I had asked Destiny a while ago to come on and share her story, and she wasn't ready. So, of course, I didn't want to be a pushy friend and be like, tell me your story. So, that's how she became the guest host. Well, she went on a trip, and something happened, and now she's back, and she's ready to share with us her story of how she's gotten to this place. And it's such an amazing place.
I'm ready.
Oh my God. I live in Long Beach, y'all. I know I always talk about it, but they so damn loud out here. It don't matter.
It's active right now.
It's really active. I don't even know what time it is.
6:34.
6:34. We have Max barking. We have Max family. It's a mess. Anyways, Destiny.
Slip back some sleeping pills.
Girl, something. A sleeping bone, something. Anyway, so I want to hear, if you don't know, Destiny owns a dance studio. How old are you?
29.
Destiny's 29 years old. You've had the studio for how many years?
Well, we've opened our program for 5 years, but I've been in a physical building for 4 years.
So 9 minus 4, 25.
Yeah.
You became a business owner, like a full-time business owner.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Ooh. I think I was really blind at that age, and I really didn't notice how young I was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it was scary because I had no training. I didn't take any classes. I never even danced in dance studio when I was younger, so I didn't know anything really. I was just ready to kind of be on my own, and so I just did it.
So where are we starting from? Let's start.
Okay. So I would say I'm not one of those people that I can look back and say I've always, my whole entire childhood, I wanted to be a dance teacher. I never wanted to be a dance studio owner. I'd say I never thought of it. I would say I've been dancing for a really long time, all my life, and then it really kind of started when I lost my grandma, because I was trying to find my footing. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but what was it about? I mean, I know you loved her.
Mm-hmm.
You love her, but what was it about losing her that made you want to? How did that? Because those are, sometimes people lose people when they shut down.
Yeah.
It made you wake up.
Yeah.
So,
I think when I lost my grandma, I was 19. It was like a month shy of my 20th birthday, and I was in the middle of choreographing a piece in college. It was my first piece I ever choreographed, and that morning of my third rehearsal, my grandma passed away, and so I just came back from the hospital. I ended up still doing the rehearsals and stuff, and then the semester ended. I kind of pushed through, and I was just such in a dark place. I didn't know, I've never lost anybody that close to me, so I was really confused as someone so young. And so rehearsals came again, or auditions came around for me to audition another piece. And of course, I made this piece about my grandma. I go in.
Do you remember the song?
Oh my! It was this woman's work.
Okay.
This woman's. Is it Worth or Work?
For who was
Maxwell.
It? Maybe Woman's Worth. Ooh, you got vocals too.
No, that was just a humming.
Right.
So I did it on that piece. I'm like, okay, it's gonna get picked. It was about a sick lady, about everyone not wanting to let her go. It did not get picked, so I was crushed. And I think that was the time where I was actually mourning. Like, it took me a long time to like mourn and grieve and stuff, and that just broke me into pieces. So I'm like, what else can I do for her? And so I went into my dance professor at the time, Erin Landry. I went in her office and I'm like, why didn't you pick my piece? And I couldn't even really get my whole question out, and I just broke down. And I'm just bawling, like snotting and everything. It was like everything I've ever held in just came out. I couldn't hold anything. And she was like, that's why. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, you're not strong enough to do it. She's like, you can't even talk to me about it right now. How are you going to see this piece on the stage? And then how are you going to do your best to feel like that these dancers have represented your grandma in the way that you wanted her represented? And that's kind of when I was like, she was right. Like, if I want to represent my grandma anywhere in my life, I cannot be like this. Yeah, I can't be broken. I can't be in the dark. I can't just be like walking around blinded. And so I think that's what kind of lit a fire under me. And then I started just working a lot. So then I started getting a whole bunch of jobs. And I think that kept my mind busy.
Oh my God, because you were at one point at Big Lots and
Walmart,
God, I hated it. And you were just doing all of these customer service jobs, and you're not that nice.
I'm not nice at all. And first of all, don't ever make your kids work at Big Lots, because it's a horrible job.
It's a horrible place.
Horrible. I worked at Big Lots. I think I worked at Kohl's, Walmart, and this other company all at the same time. So I just started getting more and more jobs. And so this was like, when I started working at a dance studio, I was in my mood of working all these jobs. And so I'm like on my third job now, and I ended up walking into a dance studio. And I had seen the dance studio for years, and they just keep switching owners. So I walked in and I was like, are you guys hiring? He's like, oh yeah. And they had just opened. They had no teachers. I was the first teacher. So I'm like, okay. So I started teaching there. And then that's kind of how I started in the dance teaching world, when I became an actual instructor at a dance studio. Okay. And that's what opened up the door for me to kind of see what was going on behind the scenes.
What was your experience like working under somebody else?
I hated it. Well, I hated it because the person that was running it, I'm gonna just stay anonymous, the person that was running it was not a dancer. So everything, I've learned more of what not to do there than I've learned what to do. Okay. Which is almost just as good, you know what I mean? I could just check off a bunch of things on my list I didn't want to do. And so when I started working there, I didn't originally plan to have a dance studio. I just wanted to teach. And I started looking at how things were done, and my mind started turning like, no, this isn't right. So then I'm being the helpful person I am. I'm like, let me help you. This should be like this. This should be like this. And everything I was saying, he was not taking any of my criticism. And it was such, from a nice place, a sweet place. I did it out of love.
Really trying to help.
Yeah. I'm trying to help you keep your kids. And so I was just, giving him words of encouragement and trying to help him through his journey, and he was not really receptive, which made me start thinking. Because then that's, if he would have been receptive, if that studio would have went the way I told him it can go, I think I would have still been working for him. But
so then really it was God's will that he did not listen to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I look back, I see the whole setup. The setup is crazy, but that's only when I look back now.
Right.
But at the time, I'm just like, it's frustrating because he was not like, I knew a big chunk of what I was talking about because I had danced for so long, and nothing was being taken in, like anything at all. And so I was teaching there for probably like 3-4 years, and then my spirit just started changing. Like I love the kids to death, but I hated coming to work. I didn't want to teach. I didn't want to be there, and I'm like, what is this? Like, I love these kids. What's the problem? And so I started, I think I went to Pastor Kenny, and I was just thinking, like, I can do this so much better. Like, I should have a studio. I should have this, what he has. And so I went to Pastor Kenny, and I was like, I want to start a dance studio. Like, what do you think I should do? How should I start? He was like, okay, well, first you need a name. And then he's like, you need something like, destined to dance or something. And that was the first thing he said. And I'm like, that's it. I love it. He was like, what, destined to dance? I'm like, yes, I love it. Like, that's my name. And my grandma named me, so I really love to have my name in it.
Extra special.
Yeah. And I didn't have anything. I had a generic logo. It said D2D. And then I kind of ran with it. So that winter, I did like this little cute fundraiser. I went in the neighborhood. I found a dance studio that was renting, and I asked them, can I just rent this place for a day? It was a folklorico studio. And in the neighborhood, I said, I just need to rent it for a day. I want to see if this is going to work for me. I want to have a dance studio, so I want to get kids. They're like, okay, $35 an hour. I'm like, cool. We charge $5 an hour. Hopefully we can get enough kids to pay for every hour, because I think we did like 5 classes.
Is this this is the one where you have the natural hair and you and Danny took the picture?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's that dance studio, the natural hair.
Listen, she always has different hairstyles, so.
And that's how I mark all of my pictures.
See?
I'm like, oh, this is where we were here because my hair was like this.
See? That's how I remember you.
Yeah.
You and Danny and your dad took this picture, and Danny was so happy.
Yeah,
and
she was so little.
She was so happy just to be there.
Aww.
Doing nothing except crawling around the floor and getting kicked out.
She was. She definitely wasn't even dancing yet.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, what, 2? Probably.
She was younger than that.
Really?
She had to be maybe freshly too, because she started at the other studio with the ballet teacher, and she could only sit in the 30-minute class for 10 minutes.
And I
Not
had that
even.
video when I was stretching. She was next to me stretching. Aww.
Anyways, keep going. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we rented that out. Ended up being a really, really good turnout. I got a bunch of the parents these shirts, and they had like the generic D2D logo, because I couldn't even figure out what I wanted my logo to be. It was really just a trial and error thing, and I realized how much support I had. So I went back to the studio and just kind of act like nothing happened. I started still thinking about doing this dance studio, but I still wasn't set on it. I go back, and the minute I go back, he asked me to be the director of his dance studio, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, pay increase and everything. So I'm like, okay, because I'm just thinking about the money.
Right.
At this point, I'm like, yeah, okay. He's like, yeah, you know, you always have ideas, so blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go back, we're having meetings and stuff. I'm sitting there in these meetings, giving my advice. And then I realize when I'm talking to the parents or going in the next day, none of it is being used. So my name as a director, because it's already been presented to the parents that I'm the director now.
Okay.
My name is on everything.
Mm.
I had nothing to do with nothing.
Mm.
So now I'm really pissed, because you put me in a position to take credit for things that I didn't sign up for.
Right.
I didn't help you with this. This is not my work. I would have never done things like this. And so I think that's kind of when I was pretty much done. So I put in my 2 weeks. And I cried. And that's when I know God is like shifting me around, because I always get really emotional when something big is going to change. And I just cried. I didn't know what now. Because I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to have my studio, but where?
So I have a question. So you are very religious, spiritual.
Yes, hallelujah.
Yes, okay. It takes a certain level of faith to leave something that you know is going to bring you money for sure.
Lots of money. He was paying good.
To bring you probably the most money you've made at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And to take this step of faith and say, all right, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
How did you not let the fear of the unknown stop you? Because I really believe that's a big thing for people. Not even for people, for myself.
Yeah.
The fear of the unknown makes it almost impossible to move if you stay in your head.
Yeah.
So how did you talk to yourself to say, all right, no, this is not it? Or was it just you believe that much?
I believed a lot in my heart, but I felt like the longer, because I felt uncomfortable for a while. So the longer I was staying, I started looking back to see how much worse it was getting the longer I was staying. So like the money was getting better, I was feeling worse.
Right.
So I started looking at these kids like, you guys deserve better. I started looking at the place like, I don't even want to come to work. How did I go from walking into a building just loving my job to not liking it so much to where I almost want to call out every day? You know, so
that's not you.
Yeah. And at that point, I'm just like, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen at this point? I'm just going to let go of a job.
Yeah.
I can always find another studio to work at if it didn't work out. So I guess I just started flipping my mindset. Like, okay, we can do this. This is not going to be bad. If it is going to be bad, then
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll go somewhere else. Or I still worked at Walmart. Shoot. Something happened.
No, it's okay. We're good.
I'm like, I can't hear myself anymore. So I went. I put my 2 weeks in, and then I found this little Zumba place, like a little bit more in Anaheim, deeper. And I walked in, and I said, I was just like, hey, are you renting? Same thing. Can I rent out? I want to do a little fundraiser. He's like, okay. Super nice people. I think I got it a little cheaper, and I did a fundraiser there. I'm like, okay, cool. My biggest problem was that when I left the old studio, I didn't want to tell nobody.
Okay.
Because I'm like, that's shady. I don't want nobody, work for me and then leave.
Stealing their kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't want to be shady about it. So I really, if you follow me on social media, you would have saw. If you're a parent that follows me, you would have saw. But was I there handing out flyers and stuff? No. There was a parent that I think he sent her to test me or something. She came to like, oh, well, I heard you're opening your studio. Do you have information? I was like, no, I don't have any. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. And so I was just like, that was like my mindset. Like, God is going to shift these people my way. It's not going to be a greed thing. I'm not going to be grabbing these kids from this studio. If they're happy here, they can stay here.
So when you were at that other studio, was it nonprofit?
No.
Okay, so Destini's studio is a nonprofit studio.
Yeah.
And I think the assumption is people think that you probably, I don't know obviously how much money you make, but I feel like your prices in comparison to the world is
pretty good.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And and I feel like that's also a testament to who you are, because you could be making way more money.
Mm-hmm.
You really could. And you're doing it not thinking about the money. How do you do that?
I think, well, now I'm learning to be more smart with my money, because we're in this group. I'm in this group called Dance Studio Owners of Color. It's a Facebook group, all Black women that own dance studios around the world. Trinidad, probably Barbados or something, Chicago,
right.
Virginia, everywhere. And so this lady that leads the group, 𝐾𝐚𝐧𝐜, she's very inventive. She's very structured. She's a great mentor. And I think from doing that, I've learned how to be smart about my money, my financial decisions, about our prices and things like that. There's certain formulas that you can do to make sure that you meet all your financial needs and responsibilities.
And so still have a low price, but you still are taking care of everything.
Right. Which I don't say like I'm stuck on the low price thing. I try to make it affordable, but at the same Daddy's whispering.
What do you mean? Go.
Hi, monkey.
Yes. Oh my God.
Hi, Godmommy.
I can't have no more kids, y'all. That's the last
She's
one.
Hi, Godmommy.
Oh my God, your toes are done.
Why you say that like my toes are never done?
Well, your toe hands are done, and
You get on my nerves.
I need to get my toes done.
I don't want to be on this podcast.
Okay, so you're saying you basically, sorry, we're off track, guys. So she's a good mentor. Okay.
Yeah, so now I know how to do it. I'm not set on the finances being super low. I'm trying to get them as low as possible. But as rent increases and things like that, and our responsibilities increase, we have to do what we have to do. But we still offer scholarships and help financial support and fundraising.
You know what I think though? Because of who you are, I feel like people are going to pay whatever.
Yeah.
If it goes up, if it goes down, whatever. Yeah. I feel like people are going to pay because of who you are and who you are to their kids.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm cutting you off again. I'm so sorry. You decided to start telling this story. What can we talk about? Is that okay? Is that
what?
You decided to be able to come out and tell people your testimony.
Right.
I don't want to fast forward you, but I want to talk about that, because you've held on to something really good. Like, this is a good process.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
I hate her.
I'm like, wink at me.
What was your like decision? You decided that you're comfortable and you're ready to tell your testimony about the path of becoming a business owner. What held you back from being willing to say it?
I felt like it's funny because I ran into Classic at the gas station a few weeks ago, and he was like, why haven't you been on the podcast? And I was like, I'm just not ready. And he was like, what do you mean ready? I'm like, I feel like my testimony is still being written. So I felt like I was never ready because my story wasn't finished. Mm-hmm. And I told Andrew that, and he was like, it's never going to be finished.
Never.
Ever. And I was like, you're right. And so I was kind of thinking about it before. And then when I went to Oklahoma, I went to a Bible study spontaneously. We went to a Bible study with my cousin because that's her Thursday thing to do.
Okay.
We stayed at this Bible study for like 4 hours. Longest Bible study ever, but it was really nice. And then after, we were just eating pizza and stuff and talking, and this one guy that was in Bible study came out. His name is Josh. He came in the kitchen and he was like, God gave me a word for you guys, and I just kind of want to tell you guys if you'd be receptive. And we're like, yeah, tell us. So he goes around and he tells everyone that flew in what God had told him, and then he gets to me and he's like, he said a bunch of stuff, but one of the things that he said was, I'll tell you one other part when I get to that part in the story. I don't want to ruin it. But one part that he did say was that your testimony that you've been hanging on to is going to change lives. And I was like, oh, you got me. But I had just had this conversation with Andrew like last week about my hanging on to it. And he was like, you're going to change so many lives by your story and your testimony, and God is going to use your voice to change hundreds and thousands of people.
I believe it.
Yeah. And then he said the same thing with the kids. And so I was like, okay. I mean, it's not a bad reason why I didn't want to do it. I kind of felt like it was all over the place. Like, if I can actually tell my story, it would probably take hours and hours, because God's just been so good to me, and there's just so many parts where I never saw the end of the tunnel, you know what I mean? And then God jumped in and rescued me, or, so I felt like it's just so much to tell, so I never told it. Or people might see a little bit. I might say,
I feel like you're very private, though.
Yeah.
So you don't see when you're going, as we go through, Destani is the friend. Like, when we go through, you're there. Yeah. You listen. You give your wanted and unwanted opinions.
I'll try. Should have to sneak that in.
But you're so, I don't know what the word is. Like, I feel like you're you're a pillar, right? You're right in the middle of everybody. And I don't know. I believe that. I believe I can tell you different moments in my life where you've been pivotal. Mm-hmm. And so, anyways, keep going. Do you know where you stopped?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I stopped where I went into the studio and everything happened. It was perfect. And then I went back and I said, well, would you guys be willing to rent me a room? Because they had just rented out, or just bought the room next door.
Okay.
So when they bought the room next door, they were like, they had 2 extra rooms. And so they were like, yeah, you can rent it out, give me prices and stuff. So I went and told Pastor Kenny, I'm like, these are the prices they said. He was like, tell him you want the first month for free. I'm like, what? I don't know these people. I'm like, so you want me to just walk off the street, ask these people, can I have the first month for free? Hi, I'm Destani. I'm a little black girl that would love to just rent your studio.
I ain't got no people yet.
Right. I have no one.
Can I have it for free, please?
Yeah, he was like, you need to walk in God's grace. Like, you need to walk confidence. So I'm like, okay. And so I walked in there and I'm like, yeah, I would like to rent out, but I would like to have the first month for free. He said, okay. I was like, what? He's like, okay, you can have the first month for free.
No way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so I'm like freaking out. I'm like, all right, so now the ball is rolling. We're out. And so I
would have started crying.
Girl, I was kind of shook. I'm like, oh God, I didn't know he was going to answer that quick. Like, now I got to hurry up.
Right.
So I started making these flyers. I'm trying to get together. Mind you, I have no idea what I'm really doing. All I know is what classes to offer, how much I was getting paid. Right. And then I know, like, usual schedule for the studio. So,
and you're running all these classes. Whatever classes you get, you're now running them yourself.
Mm-hmm. I'm teaching myself, too. There's no other teacher for me. And so I'm like, I can't have nobody else because I can't afford to pay them. Mm-hmm. So I do the first month, and the guy is kind of like, halfway through, Eduardo comes in, he's just like, where's your kids? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's just kind of like, oh, well, I gave you the month for free. Like, I'm just like, I know. I had probably like the first month in total, I probably had about 5 kids. And they were spread out, and then they would come together. So I think the first month was the very, very hardest, or the first year.
And I always say the first year in business is the hardest.
And see, I didn't know anything about business, so I didn't even know that. And so I think the first year, the first 365 days, I tell people this all the time, I probably cried every other day, if not every day. Oh. And I told Laquana this. I used to call Laquana in the middle of the night, and I'm just like, what am I doing?
Why were you crying?
I felt defeated. I felt embarrassed. I felt abandoned. I felt like God left me. I was just like, why would you set me up to make me feel so excited? Like, you just gave me a free building. I felt so excited, and then you just left me here, like, looking stupid.
Now, looking back, what do you think that was for?
I tell people this all the time, is that I feel like God was giving me as much as I can handle at the time. So when I had 5 kids, it's because I could only handle 5 kids. I didn't know what I was doing. When I got to a few months in and I had 15 kids, that's all I could handle at that time. I could only handle 15 kids. And so as the time went, we progressed and we got more and more kids. And then I was growing with them. The business was growing with them. They were growing with me. So in the first few months, I did have those parents that were just pain in the butts. Like, they just were
judgmental,
just
very
mean.
hard. Yeah.
And this is my first time, which is no excuse because it is a business. You are putting your money into it, but kind of grow some slack. And then I was battling with being Destiny and being like Miss Destiny, because Destiny will cuss you out. Miss
and
Destiny.
Your kids.
Yeah. Miss Destiny has to figure out how to solve this issue. So when they were coming at me, I was coming back at them like, what's up? And so I had to figure out that balance, which came a lot with maturity, because I was still really young when I started. And so as the time went by, I got more kids and the word kind of started spreading. I ended up, now, fast forward, we have 50 kids, roughly. I think this summer we hit like 55. And that was kind of like, that's been my goal from the very beginning.
Was to have 55 kids. Is it too soon to ask in the story? I'm sorry, before I even do that. This episode's going to be a little bit different, because I want her to be able to get out as much as she can to help as many people as she can, because we know plenty of Black women. We know plenty of women who want to be business owners. And I want you to plant the seed. So I will interject, but I'm not going to be, my normal.
Oh, it's okay. Do what you gotta
do. So is it too soon in the story to ask you how many kids you had? I don't know. Your number of kids then and now?
Well, in the beginning, I had about 5.
Right. So 5.
It probably progressed, probably 10 kids each semester. I don't even know. And then you get kids, and then they drop.
Okay.
You know what I mean? For reasons that may have something to do with you, may not have anything to do with you.
Do you do like a survey to ask, like, at the end of each quarter before you guys close for break?
I have done a survey before. I did not do it in the past. I didn't even think of to do it in the past, and I should have done it. And that was probably the most crucial part that I should have done it in.
Okay.
So a lot of things were slipping through my fingers. A lot of people that I probably could have retained if I knew what I know now. But I didn't. So
that's okay.
Yeah, and I also feel like as a Black woman, you are expected, you gotta work. This is what Anna Kia says all the time, the lady from DSOC. She says you have to work 3 times as hard to get half as much as a person that is not of color. Or like, And I really believe that's true, because when they walk through the door, they're already expecting you to have attitude. They're expecting you to be unprofessional. They're expecting you to not be on top of your game. And that is almost what I was when they walked through. I didn't have an attitude. I wasn't unprofessional, but I wasn't on top of my game the way I should have been. Okay. The way we should have been answering the phones, the way we should have had separate phone numbers, the way we greeted people when we came in, things like that, that I didn't know. There wasn't any blueprint. I didn't do the proper research. I had no idea.
You know what? I'm sorry to cut you off. Something else that I like that you say You say we.
Mm.
You have not one time said I.
Yeah.
It has always been we.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me.
I'm trained like that now. Because when Pastor Kenny used to tell me about my business and stuff, he's saying, you need to stop saying I, because it's not you, it's a business. And he's like, you have a team in a business, you have more aspects, more different traits that help you with your business. So for you to say I, you personalize it. But if you have an issue with my business, you don't have an issue with me. It's we, you know what I mean? So you're talking about the business, and I had to separate myself from the business. And at times I put myself in it, and sometimes I separate myself. Like, I'm always going to be a part of it, but I am not Destini Dance. You know what I mean? Destini Dance is Destini Dance.
It's
I'm
an
Miss
extension
Destiny.
of you.
Yeah. And
that's good.
Yeah.
He can listen to this episode.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm going to send it to him. He can listen to this episode. Like, PK, if you don't listen to anything else.
Yeah.
Listen to this
if he's listening,
episode.
I have to tell part of this, because he's going to say this. He told me part of my duties that I was supposed to do was go to the Boys and Girls Club or call them, get some information, and see how I can teach for free, right? I did it, and I was having issues following through. So I did it. The guy was like, yeah, send me a proposal, and boom, you can do it. I think I got the number, I got all the information, I never sent the proposal. So when I started having little big kids, he had no sympathy for me. He was like, if you would have done what I asked you to do, or what I told you to do, you would have had those kids in there. But since I didn't listen,
sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, and I learned. So I had to learn the hard way, you know what I mean? Like, I listened to everything he had told me so far, and I was doing good, and then I didn't listen to that, and I was suffering because I didn't have a lot of kids. Which it's so sad when I think about it. It just makes me so sad, because I had little Destiny, like, poor thing. I used to sit at that door, like, across the room, and just stare at the door. And you see a car pull up, and you're like, is it me? You know what I mean? You're just like, is it a kid for me? And it's like, no.
Oh.
And then someone that may come in really wants to take the class, they're like, well, my kid doesn't want to dance if she's the only one, type of thing, you know? So it's really discouraging. It was really tough. Your girl was struggling.
Right.
It was rough. So we ended up getting more kids, and everything kind of started going normal. I started learning how to, at one point there was a lot of negative energy in there, and then I came up with a contract to have the parents sign, like, you don't speak ill on someone else's child. You don't have drama. If you have things that you need resolved, you come to me, or you go outside and talk about whatever. Like, don't come in here making a kid feel bad for getting a solo. That's a celebratory moment, you know? And so there was a lot of bad energy, and I think that was a really low for me, because it's so hard. I was a student, and I was taking like a few classes. I was a student. I still had 2 other jobs, running the dance studio, and then I had drama. And
not even your drama.
No, and you know, I'm not really like a drama-filled person.
Yeah.
I never really involve myself in stuff. I kind of just walk away, and it's a lot of drama, but it was hard for me because I'm so attached to the kids. So I started having to let people go, like, not say, excuse me, can you leave? But I would just pray that God remove them from the studio. I'd like, God, this is not worth it. I love this kid, but there's always going to be more kids, you know? So I started praying and asking God to remove people. And once people were removed, slowly but surely start getting removed, it was like a brand new studio.
Now, prayer.
Mm-hmm.
We have to speak about that. I think this is probably the second time you've said something about it.
Oh yeah.
It works.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't even know how to like really question that, because I believe prayer works.
Yeah.
But how would you describe that to someone that isn't a believer, or someone that doesn't, let's not even limit it to being a believer.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? How do you say it? What's the thought process behind it? Because you're basically just talking, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And my prayers are never like, I think you saw it. I write my prayers down a lot to see how God can change things. But when I first got the studio and stuff, my prayers weren't like, dear Lord, please. Sometimes I'd just be wailing like, God, please, like this, please fix this. But it was never like, thank you for the studio. Can you please just remove these people from da-da-da? I'm like, God, you know my heart. You know what I want, what I desire for this place. Please just move these people out of the way and, create that peace that I need, whatever it takes. And it was just like that. I don't really, most of the time I pray, I'm in the car, the shower. I really forget to pray in the mornings. I wake up and I thank God for another breath. Like as soon as I wake up, I'm like, thank you, Jesus, for another day, blah, blah. But I could be a better prayer warrior. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I would say just talk. And as dumb as you feel, if you feel dumb, then do it by yourself.
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Until you don't feel dumb, until it's normal.
Right. Because I act out scenes by myself.
I know that's right.
Yeah. So if one day I would be an actress and I act out some scenes by myself. So the same thing, I talk to myself all the time. So I'm just talk to God about this. And I just start speaking on it every day. I'm like, anytime someone comes in, I had to stop feeding into that stuff too, because I can't pray for things to change if I'm feeding the fire. You know what I mean? I can't say, God, remove them, if I'm like, yeah, anyway, so you need it. You know what I mean?
So did you ever at times ask God, like, if it's something in me, correct it?
Yeah.
And remove it?
I did have to ask God to mature me a lot, because now when I start looking back on little things, every semester, so every semester is like almost like a school semester.
Right.
It's about 5 to 6 months. And so every semester I would look back and reflect on like maybe how many kids we lost, how people reacted to things. And I'm like, God, it might be me. Like, you know, whatever was in me that drove these people away, or whatever is not allowing me to attach to these people, just remove it. Like fix me. And I knew I'm not too good to say that I was perfect. I know I wasn't perfect. I know that I was a result of some people leaving because of how I handled things, or how I answered to things, how I gave a little bit pushback when you try to come at me, because that's who I was.
Right.
You know, and I'm still that person if you come for me, but I'm not in the business world. I know how to speak to people now. Like, I know how to...
You know how to push back in business ways.
And I'd say, okay, you know what? I'm going to let you calm down a little bit, and we'll speak about this tomorrow.
Yeah.
But me, I was like, if you come for me, I have to react right now.
Defense mechanism.
Right. Which I'm reacting out of anger, and you're reacting out of anger, so we're not getting anywhere.
No.
So that was a lot of the issues, and just parents just testing me, just seeing how much they can get away with, how much. And the problem is that the other studio that we came from, he was very big on giving discounts and stuff. So when people came to me, they expected the same treatment he was giving them.
But this is a whole different studio.
Right.
This is a different brand.
Yeah.
Okay.
But me not having that much experience, I'm like, no, we're not doing discounts this month. Okay, we're going to give you this much off to do this class too. Like, no, if you want to take 2 classes, you pay for 2 classes.
Right. And my prices are good.
Exactly. So now that I look back, I'm like, wow, we really started really cheap. And I would say now I know my value.
Yes.
So if you can't pay it, or you don't want to pay it, or you're too good to fundraise and you can't afford it, then you just don't belong here. You know, you have to meet me halfway. I'm not here to provide cheap prices. I'm here because I'm providing a service to you, and you need to pay for this service.
Yeah.
You know, if you really want to do this and I see it in your heart, apply for the scholarships that we offer. Sell them chocolates.
Yeah.
Because when I was in high school, I was in cheer and dance, and I really wanted to do it. I couldn't afford it. And my teachers saw how much I was trying. My mom had me rolling change, giving it to Miss Jackson, the cheer teacher. Mm-hmm. She would have her son count the change. And I paid hundreds of dollars in change because I really wanted to do it. We were collecting cans and stuff. And that's where my heart of giving comes from, is that my mom's like, you want it? We're going to make it happen. I don't have it, but we're going to make it happen.
We're going to figure it out.
Yeah. So I don't understand people that are too good to sell chocolate. I mean, I wish it was just as easy as selling chocolate for me. Right. I'm not asking you to roll coins or give away cans. I'm just asking you to do a fundraiser.
Right.
So that's kind of how I came with the low prices, and that's how we start becoming nonprofit. Pastor Kenny once again told me to be nonprofit, and so I didn't really know much about nonprofits. I just jumped into it. I thought that meant we had to give away free classes, which that is not the case.
Hell, I thought nonprofit meant you wasn't gonna make no money. When I heard you was gonna be nonprofit, I said, "Oh, this baby ain't never gonna be able to stop working at this job."
I was so nervous.
I'm so scared. I was scared for you.
And
that's not what nonprofit is, right?
Like, no. Okay. Nonprofit just means that we basically give back to the community. We are a service for the community. We're tax deductible, so people can write us off on their taxes. And people want to give a lot more to us because we give to others, you know? Yeah. That's really what it is. It's not guaranteed that you're going to get these cheap prices and all this stuff. We offer scholarships as a result because we get a lot of donations. The donations that we get goes back into our studio somehow. I never hang on to any of the donations or anything like that. And yeah, so it's been a blessing though, because being nonprofit helps us get like booths and stuff, like OC Fair and things like that, where we get a nice little write off.
And I don't think there's many nonprofit dance organizations in Orange County, is there?
In Anaheim alone, I don't think there's any.
And you also you work with a lot of minorities, or with minority students, and that's okay.
That's a blessing, because lately I've just been getting so many people that have been calling me and saying, oh yeah, well, I want to come to your studio. What kind of hip hop do they teach? What kind of this do they teach? The studio my daughter is at is such and such. What I've heard about almost every studio in Orange County, and I don't know. I just don't feel like she doesn't feel like she belongs. The parents kind of feel a little funky. I don't feel like I get along with the parents, and I'm just like, that is what I'm here for. You know what I mean? And I most of my students have come to me because they feel that way.
Other people,
they don't want to feel like they are like an orange in the basket of apples. They don't want to feel like they don't belong. They're all treated the same way. They all look different but the same. So we have a bunch of Black girls, we have a bunch of Hispanic girls, we have some Asians. Well, we did have Asians. I try to get everyone in there because I want people to be able to walk in and say, oh, she looks like me. And I had, oh my god, it was so cute, this little girl, Sochi. She's the cutest thing ever. She comes to the studio. She's 4, I want to say. And she runs inside and she's like, hey, your hair is like mine. And she's a little mixed girl. So when I had the curly big hair, she was like, your hair is like mine. We're twins. And I'm just like, oh my god, like that's so important, you know. And even Shauna's daughter, she was like, I think she said she came. I shared this on my page. She came into the studio and she saw me, but she's used to Kenny, and so when she comes in, she's like, she didn't know if I was her teacher, so she goes later and tells Shauna like, yeah, we had this Black lady, and she's like, yeah, she's the owner. She's like, she owns the whole studio, and she's like, yeah, maybe like she's the teacher and the owner, and she's like, wow, and she looks like me, or she's brown like me. And I just think that's so important. I mean, I didn't have my first Black dance teacher or my Black teacher until I was in high school. Yeah, my cheer teacher. Yeah. I'm like, why aren't we like this?
But see, that's a really, and I say it all the damn time, I feel very strongly about Black educators being in Orange County, and they don't want to be out here. Yeah. They don't want to go to Orange County because you are the only Black educator when you come to Orange County. Yeah. But there are so many kids that need to see it so bad. They need to see it, and I at this point, I don't know where I'm going in life. I'm just freelancing.
Going somewhere.
I'm going somewhere. I'm moving, I'm moving.
Right.
But in the event that I stay in education, I will not leave Orange County. Yeah. Because they need to see it. They need people that are in their corner. Yeah. And you're in their corner. Even if you're the only studio. Yeah. That's their corner. And that's a blessing. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Even when we go to competition, it's just our team is so diverse. When we go, I think the first competition we went to,
the only brown people there.
Yeah. And you could tell from our dances,
and the music.
Yeah, because I'm not doing that generic stuff. I'm like, y'all gonna see who we are. And my kids are so hood. They're like Orange County hood, like a little watered down, but they hood. My parents are very, very hood. But we walked to a competition. I had to start telling the girls, like, you can be kind, you can kill people with kindness, but if you're about to go on stage, if someone doesn't speak to you or they treat you differently, that's it. Don't push the issue. And a lot of the people, they were going and they were like, good luck, and they're so friendly, especially Lil V. She's so little. Yes. She's always the youngest, but she's so friendly. She's very, very friendly. And she's like, good luck, and the girls just look at them like up and down. And in order for me to not want to fight anyone's child or
right, no. Okay, hello.
So, and my parents are crazy, so I'm like, oh no. So I had to tell them, like, if people don't speak to you, do not go in here trying to speak to everyone. If they smile, just smile back. If you notice that they're gonna speak to you, then you can say, oh yeah, you too, good luck, be nice. But they're so sensitive and so nice, it changes their mood before they go on stage. So I had to start telling them I'm sorry, like in life, you choose if you want to speak to someone or not. But if you're about to go on stage for me, I need you to be not cold, but just don't be overly friendly.
Right.
Because these kids are not like you guys.
No.
These kids are snooty. Like,
yeah.
These kids are nasty. Like, oh my God, they're rude. Yeah. They're so rude. There's some good ones, really sweet ones, but there's very rude kids, and their parents are just as rude.
And you know what? It's because they don't see people like us.
Yeah. They're like,
And so that's how their parents treat them.
Yeah.
And, you know, so, all right, so keep going. Let's keep going.
Okay, so, we're in the studio. We're a nonprofit now. We've done a few recitals, and so now I've been in there probably about 3 years, and the owners that have gave me the space or helped me with the space, they decided to uproot and leave. So now they switched owners. So I was under a sublease, and so when they left, I stayed, and I was really nervous about the new ownership and how things may go. So when they left, the new owners asked them, like, you know, I want to change my floor. It's been something that God put heavy on my heart to change the floor. I wanted the floor to be really, really nice. The floor was so ugly. And we basically remodeled the whole entire
studio,
place.
Yeah.
The place looks so different. And so I would say we did the floors, and I was praying like, okay, God, we need some new floors. I don't know how we're gonna afford it. We don't really have a big savings or anything like that. So I'm like, how are we gonna do this? I was praying on it. It was on my heart so heavy. And then one day, Johnny, which everyone knows Johnny for the studio. Shout out to Johnny. He works at MSI Flooring, and he's like, I work for a flooring place. And I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, and you're nonprofit. We had just became nonprofit. This is our first year. He's like, and you're nonprofit. I can see if you can get some floor for free. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. So I fill out some paperwork. Like a month or so later, we got approved, and we got tons of tile donated to us. We didn't pay a dime. The floors were so pretty, porcelain floors, like wood, beautiful grains and stuff. And so we put the floor in, and I was like, wow, like this makes such a difference. Hands and knees, blisters and all. We had the men in there. We worked so hard on this floor. I'm so attached to this floor. And so we had done the floor, and then so I'm trying to make this brief. So we did the floor, and it was looking really, really nice. We go, and we're in the building for a while. There were some things going on with the new ownership where I started feeling uneasy again. So whenever basically I feel really uneasy,
you know,
it means a change is about to come. Yeah. Whew. And I would say, like, I mean, if you've been into oceanography and like earthquakes and stuff, before the big earthquake comes, like the plates move around, you know what I mean? And so there's like those little shakes and things like that. And so I felt God shifting me around. Like I knew something huge was about to shift. And there was instances over and over and over again, without getting too deep into it, that were making me feel more and more uncomfortable. And so I just started praying on it, like, okay, God, I think we're about to dip. So all the signs were there for us to leave, but I was so attached to the floor. We had just did this, we repainted. I just got a new logo. Rocco, shout out to Rocco, made my beautiful logo on the wall. I had the logo, I had the floor, I had the studio that I've always dreamed of. And then I felt like I was like, okay, if you trust me, walk away. And I'm like, no. Like, can we peel this floor up?
Can we bargain, Lord?
Yeah, I'm like, can we chip this floor and take the tiles at least? Like, so I'm like, okay. So my spirit was just uneasy. I couldn't take it anymore. And then I think at my breaking point, I was sitting down, and my grandma had just recently passed, and I'm sitting on the bed I'm sitting next to her, and she's in the bed, and we know that she only has a few hours left. And there was an incident that happened at the studio. It was kind of out of my control, and they're on the phone, like trying to figure this out, ripping me a new one, like just kind of just being really
terrible,
annoyed. Yeah. And I don't really tell people my business, so they didn't know my grandma was passing or whatever. I'm sitting by her bed, and I'm on the computer, and I'm just in tears, and I started typing my 30-day notice. And that was like my breaking point. I was just so low at that point. I'm just like, if I'm gonna have a studio, I have to be in peace. There's times where I have to have peace, and I can't have people messing me up. And they were really like, oh my God, like the feeling was just unbearable. I'm grieving. I know what's about to happen.
Right, you can see it. It's in front of you.
And on my phone, I'm getting messages about something that was out of my control. I'm just like, that's enough. Like, enough is enough. So I typed it up, I printed it out, and I gave my 30 days, and we didn't have a building. Because I feel like God makes me do like the blind faith thing.
Right.
So, well, first of all, I missed the part. So back to the being nonprofit, we didn't have a relationship with the city. I had tried to go into the city to get more classes. So you can basically like contract with the city of Anaheim.
So they'll send people to you, or they'll
put you in the catalog, send you people, all that stuff. So because of how huge our recital was, we did the recital, and at the recital, I was really hesitant about putting the girls on stage, the praise dance team. I didn't know what it was going to be like. I didn't know what people's reactions were going to be for a praise dance, for like a church type dance. And so I'm like,
and they wanted it so bad.
Yeah. And that's another time I battle with my spirit. Like, my spirit and my flesh were doing two different things. Like, me as a servant of God, I wanted to put the kids on stage. Me in the flesh as a business owner, I'm like, I don't know. The girls
because they could go either way. The girls wanted it.
They wanted it so bad, and that's what I love about doing this, is they teach me so much. And they just taught me to have faith, because they're like, we want to go on the stage. Like, what's the problem?
And you told them maybe a couple of days before.
Yeah.
If not 2 days, maybe.
I told them days before.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even put them in the program because I still was not sure. I'm still like, no, I don't think we can do it. So they're like, no, we're ready. I put them on stage. And I feel like that was a test that I had passed.
Yeah.
That God was like, and I looked down the audience. There were so many people crying. There were so many people crying. And I'm like, why was I scared? If I had faith like these kids, you know. And I think I passed the test, because after I had been trying to get a hold of the city for months, they were switching people up. I couldn't get a hold of them. The day after, a few days after the recital, I had just quit PSI, which is my job that I had at the time. I was like, all right, God, like, take the wheel. Now I have time to go to the building myself.
Now I'm about to track them down.
Yeah. So now I'm like, I got time. I quit my job. The recital went well. Let's go. Go to the building. As soon as I go upstairs, get off the elevator, I was like, oh, I need to speak to someone in charge of the city, like the programs. Lady comes out, hi, Destiny. You're Destiny, right? I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, are you? She's like, Shauna. And she introduced herself. She's like, you're from Destiny Dance. I'm like, yeah. And I'm really like, who are you?
Like, have I ever spoke to you before?
Yeah.
Okay.
The lady said that the dance, all the dances, the recital was so beautiful, and we were so respectful, that the owner of, or like the manager that runs the dance studio, or I said the dance studio
that runs the arena that you guys rented out. Okay.
Yeah. She went and was bragging about us to this lady, and she said, wait, I think I have her paperwork or her application that she's put in months ago. And so that's why when I walked in, she knew exactly who I was. I was like, okay, God.
Come on, Lord.
Because this dance could have moved her. Yeah, and I would have messed all that up.
Yeah.
This dance probably moved this lady to where she said, wow, like, I've never seen anything like this. And then, boom, the door opens just like that. So now we're contracted with the city. We got a bunch of kids, which is why, tying back to what I was saying, I need a building. Because how am I going to teach these kids that were contracted? And so I was like, okay, well, I'm sitting down one day just thinking, let's just do free classes at the park. We ain't got nowhere to go for August.
Right.
I mean, you can't be inside anyway. So whatever.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's too damn hot.
Exactly. And we're really not supposed to be open, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's just do the classes at the park. So we did the outdoor tour. Which
was awesome.
Yeah, we got so many kids, so many new kids. It was really fun. It was hot as hell, but it was fun. And so when I went to Oklahoma, I went to Oklahoma Monday, so that we just finished the last outdoor tour. So I came back Monday. I came back Monday, taught Wednesday, and now we're here.
Okay.
When I went to Oklahoma, part of the testimony the man gave me was, or the prophecy the man gave me was that the building that I've been praying for is already mine.
Okay.
Right. I had already put in an application for this studio that I wanted so bad. But
wait. Okay, I'm sorry. I feel like we've talked about, we haven't talked about it since we got our bridesmaid boxes, but keep going. I want to hear.
Since you got your bridesmaid box.
Yeah, because I'm a bridesmaid.
So I was applying for the studio. I wanted it really, really, really bad. The person that was like the lease manager, I guess, they just stopped speaking to us. They were just they were giving me vibes of where I had just left.
Right.
But the contract was 5 years. So I'm like, do I want to do this for another 5 years? And my heart was so set on, I wanted that place so bad. And they denied the first application. I felt so sad. I was like, God, I wanted it so bad. But I didn't have time to like dwell in my sadness. I'm like, we got to keep going because we need to be in a place. Looking. I told myself that we were going to be in a place. I recorded a video. I'll probably post it next week. I recorded a video saying, today is my last day in the studio. It's September, or it's, where was it? July 31st. God is going to give us a building by the end of August. And I recorded this for all you to see how God works. And I have it in my phone, right? And I'm like, I'm just waiting until it happens.
Right.
So we got denied. I'm driving around looking for another place. Poor Andrew. Oh my God, he's probably so sad. I was like, I don't have a building. He was like, all right, get in the car. Like, let's go. It was at nighttime. We're just driving around looking for places in the dark. And I still couldn't find anything. I get on LoopNet at midnight one night. Just got on it. I see a listing for this building. And I'm like, oh my God, I think I know where this is. The building that was listed is the same building that we rented out on our first fundraiser.
The natural hair building.
Yeah, the natural hair building when Danny was like 1. And I was like, oh my God, because I had drove by that building in hopes, I mean, not to be rude, but we're in the middle of a pandemic. So I'm like, something's going to be open.
Somewhere. Yeah.
So I'm looking and I'm like, is this building open? It still looked pretty taken. It looked like someone was in there. So I'm like, dang. And so a few weeks later, I look on LoopNet and it's open. I'm like, what? So I call, the dude tells me everything. He's like, yeah, they've been gone for like 2 weeks now. So it's fresh. Mirrors still intact. I know the studio. I've been in the studio. You know what I mean? I rented the studio. So 5 years later, we were approved for the building that we started in. Is that not like a full circle?
It's so emotional. Huh?
Yeah.
I'm so much.
Here she go.
I know. It doesn't take me much. Yeah. I'm the complete opposite. I cry for everything.
Yeah. And I was just really taken back. I think I really just kind of collapsed in the minute. It's really crazy because the minute I got off the plane from Oklahoma, I was supposed to get the news that Friday. So the way I brought it up was, they were like, oh, what's your highs and lows of the week? I said, well, my high of the week is that I got a new dance studio. And I'm speaking it into existence. Right. And he's like, and then later, that's what he told me about what God said. And the minute I got off, the whole weekend, I was like, dang, they didn't even answer us. And I had called my realtor, Stephanie, and I'm like, no word. And she's like, no. And I said, it's okay, I have it. I was like, someone told me that God told them I had the building already. So I'm just gonna enjoy my weekend, and then I'll get the news when I get there.
Yeah.
The minute my flight landed, probably 3 minutes after I turned it off the airplane mode, I got an email saying, oh, we got approved for the building. The minute my feet touched California, back again, I said, okay, Oklahoma trip, I see you, God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lord, make it happen.
So it was really exciting. And I think it's a full circle moment. I think now, being the first building that I'm actually leasing myself, it means a lot more to me, and I'm able to reflect more to see where I came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can see where we started, how we had these generic shirts, and now we have a beautiful logo. The logo is a bird. The bird represents my grandma, and that's also my mom's logo for her shop. Is a dove.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
So I put them together, and then there's a dancer inside that represents me dancing with her. And so it's pretty cool where we are now. I would say that God has really took me through the trenches, and that I'm really I'm grateful that we're getting there. You know, and it's kind of scary coming back from the pandemic because you kind of, every time we start something new, I kind of remember where I was when I started. Like, you do have like PTSD from being denied.
So do you, with the whole pandemic and all of that, were you scared once it hit? Were you like, or were you still in a place of, I mean, you have so much faith. It's crazy. Were you, I mean,
I think in the natural, I was a little bit like, what? It was more like a what now? And it was discouraging because we had so many things lined up. Like, we had just got really popular. Yeah. So we had, probably about 10 performances we canceled. The kids only did competition 2 times, you know? So it was kind of, and the parents weren't receptive to online classes like that. So when I was doing free ones as a test, not really many people showed up. And then it's hard to keep their attention online. So I was like, ooh, what now? Like, what are we supposed to do? I would have never thought that I would be getting a new building in the middle of the pandemic, but I felt like this pandemic is probably the best thing that could have happened for me and my company because it allowed me to get a whole fresh start.
I was talking about this the other day. The pandemic has been the best thing to have happened to me in my life.
It has been a good thing for you.
It has been the best thing that has happened to me.
Yeah.
It has slowed me down. And it has given me time to think about things that I haven't wanted to think about.
Yeah.
It has put me in a place where I can't ignore certain things because it's right in front of me.
Yep.
I cannot ignore anything anymore. It has made my health my top priority. It has made myself my top priority. The pandemic got me in parenting classes. Like, I took parenting classes during the pandemic because I realized, oh, I don't have to deal with these kids.
Yeah.
And now we're in the house and I got to deal with you guys and I don't know how to do it effectively.
Yeah.
And so I was repeating behavior that I didn't want to repeat with my kids. The pandemic has just allowed me to just reevaluate. I have dinner with them. We sit and we do chalk on the side. You know what I'm saying? Like, little things. I bought a car during the pandemic. It's allowed me to save and get my credit. It's allowed me to save and get my credit together. The pandemic has been a blessing, but it's perspective.
It is. I was going to say that a lot of people are missing this opportunity right now. It's not every day that the world is slowing down with you. It's like sometimes you try to slow down, but the world is still going 20 miles per hour, 60, and you're kind of like, I'm trying to slow down. I'm trying to be in my thoughts, but there's so much stuff going on. So the fact that when I think about the pandemic, I feel like God is trying to tell everyone something. I feel like technology has taken over and people don't even talk to their children anymore.
Yes.
Look at how many TikToks are being made and how many kids are like actually spending time with their parents, going on hikes. How many people, the hiking trails are packed, going on hikes and walks and to the beach and things that they would never ever get to do had this pandemic never happened. And people that are coming out of here that are not changed, at least changed. I mean, you don't have to come out with a new business or a new thing that you like to do. But if you come out and you look at yourself the same way you used to, you didn't get anything out of it. You wasted time.
Yes.
You know, you might as well have gotten a job.
This is the time to be building and to be growing. And building doesn't have to mean, like you just said, it doesn't mean you have a business. It doesn't mean you start this. It doesn't mean you start that.
Yeah.
But building can be rebuilding you, relearning different things. And I think that that's a big thing. What are you relearning? What are you unlearning? And what are you teaching?
Yep.
And I feel like the pandemic has been that.
Yeah.
I feel like the pandemic has been that.
It really just separates the weak from the strong. You know what I mean? It's kind of like,
I ain't never had so much money in my life. I've had more money during the pandemic than when I was working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Like, I've just been able to just do certain things.
Yeah.
It's the pandemic.
It is. And it's more of like, I think the first month we were all just trying to figure out what was going on. We didn't know what to do. But then you get to that second month, you're kind of like, okay, what is this for? Like, what are we going to get out of this? At the end of the day, are we going to come out in the end of the year, whatever, the same way, doing the same things? We don't have any more money, we're broker, or it's not the time to just keep going out to eat and things like that. save money. You're not doing anything. You're at home.
Yeah.
So save your money and eat at home.
Cook dinner.
And sit around the table with your family. Like,
yes.
No one really does that anymore. I mean, we don't even have a table anymore. We got rid of it. We don't even need it.
Yeah.
We have like little dinner tables, you know? So
yeah.
even now, me and Andrew, on the beginning of it, I'm not going to say we've been faithful to it for
right.
a while. But we start eating with Monique and like watching movies. So we would cook all together and then we'd go and watch a movie in the living room.
Yeah.
And just that is like moments we were missing because it's
yes.
like you have school in the morning, you have this to do, you have that to do. But it's not a coincidence that the pandemic happened right before the summer. You know what I mean?
I believe that. That's good.
People were getting into their habits, and then the summer came, they were able to actually spend time with their kids and fall back in love with your kids, because really, you get tired of them. I see it all the time. Parents drop their kids off and be like, bye, don't call me early.
It has also with them have, like, with Michaela being assaulted, one of the easiest things to do was to send her to school.
Yep. And you don't get that.
And I didn't get that. So I had to really learn. I mean, we had some, we had some moments.
Mm-hmm.
But the moments that we had in March were not the moments that we have in August.
Yeah.
And I've learned during this time, I got to be quiet sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I got to listen sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm learning about Dani, and when she says certain things, and I never really realized she would fall asleep on the way home. And I never realized that when Dani gets sleepy, she gets hyper. And
I realized.
Right. You know, that she gets hyper and she starts talking a lot. And then all of a sudden, if you just cuddle with her, she goes to sleep.
Yeah.
Right away.
Mm-hmm.
I've never noticed that. It's such like it's been such a blessing.
Yeah, it's refreshing. It's like, we all needed it.
And it lets you dream.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you dream more? Like, you not even like dream like sleep-wise, but it's made me like, I can see what I'm supposed to have. Yeah. I can see what God has been trying to show me that I haven't been listening to because I've been so busy trying to keep up.
And you know, God is not going to speak to you if your mind is cluttered.
Yeah.
Or if there's noise all the time, there's no way. If you're always constantly worrying about something, you have something on your mind, you can't hear him.
No.
And I mean, I think I've heard God speak to me more ways. And when I say, for those of y'all that don't know, I'm not saying that a voice out of the sky starts saying things.
The clouds don't start to move and he walks down. No, that's not what we're saying.
No, but my spirit has been just so sensitive, and my heart has been open to so many different things since this stuff has happened, where people are like, they have to do online classes, and I'm like, no. For some reason, my spirit was not leading me there. I tried and it didn't work, and I was okay with that. And I wasn't thinking about the rent that we still had to pay. You know, I was like, God's gonna take care of this, but this is the time that everyone just needs to be at peace. And then for the first time, I wasn't thinking about the studio like that. I knew the studio was gonna be taken care of because God had given me this studio and he's taking care of it thus far.
That's right.
So let me rest. We don't have time. We don't get time off. No. Especially you're a teacher, you're an educator. No. I'm a dance teacher. Like, we don't have any time off, especially if we pick up the summer. No. That is time that is precious.
You know what else is interesting that you said that? This was the first year. This past school year, I probably have worked the least amount of days ever. Since Michaela's assault, I was constantly missing work. We had trial, we had court, we met with the DAs. I had to pick her up early. She was going through it. I didn't work that often.
Yeah.
But I was able, in this school year, I was able to save enough money to get me through the summer, not knowing that it was going to be, even in March, I never missed a beat. And I'm like, oh, that's God.
Yeah.
Because I've never been able to do it. I've always worked a summer job. Always. And I feel like it's just like you said, like, I feel like God just... It was meant to be.
It was.
Like, it was meant to be. And COVID sucks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like, okay, fuck all the people that got it, and I'm so sorry you were sick, and you know, because good things happen to me. No, COVID is real.
Yeah.
But if you change the lens in which you look at it in, then you also see the blessing within COVID.
Yeah.
And yeah, there have been some terrible things. Domestic violence has gone up. Suicide rates
Yeah.
have gone up. All these things.
But that's because people are seeing themselves.
That's because people are seeing themselves. And so now, are we teaching our kids? Like now, all of a sudden in school, they have social, like these social skill classes.
Yeah.
And now they're like really putting these therapists out front, and they're really, you know, these kids needed that before the pandemic.
And they don't need a phone in front of their face all the time. I had to tell Monique, like, what are you doing this summer? Oh, I'm just on my phone. I'm like, okay, put your phone away and do a puzzle or read a book.
Yeah.
You're not going to be like one of those,
Go outside. I tell Danny all the time, go outside, go on the front porch, go in the backyard, play
they
in
don't
the
know how to do that
sprinklers.
anymore.
Yeah.
They don't, but I don't know. I just think that the pandemic, I never look at it as a negative thing. I would have never joined. As soon as the pandemic hit, I joined that dance studio owners of color group. And from then I have been able to rebuild my studio the way I want it rebuilt properly.
Yeah.
Because now I have the
tools.
experience. Now I have the tools. I have the mentors. And now I feel more confident than ever. And God has given me a new place to put my new vision into. If the pandemic would have never happened. Exactly. So when I think about the pandemic, I think of that was the end of my journey at that one place. But God has been boosting me up this whole time. And even your podcast, like, you know,
we talked about my podcast in January.
Yeah.
I would have never expected.
Or had the time.
I would have never had the time had the pandemic not hit.
Yeah.
And I spoke it in January. I remember us talking about it, and Destani, another thing about Destani, I don't even know if we brought it up, is she gives a lot of people the opportunity to start at their studio. And a lot of people, whether it's you have a catering company, whether you're a musician, I think you've had a makeup thing happen there before. You rent out your space and it's an affordable rate. And Destani allowed me to host a vision board party. And at this vision board party, I spoke about wanting to have a podcast. I don't know if podcasts bring money. I don't know what the fuck. Like, I don't know, but I knew that it was something that I was interested in.
Yeah.
I would have never been able to do it had I not had this time. Like, I literally had the time. There was, and I feel like God just kept putting it back in my face.
Yeah.
He kept putting it back in my face, and
you have nothing else to distract you. It's like, no, you're sitting there. You're not going to work on your podcast.
Yeah.
Like, really? I gave you this time. It's kind of like if you are working a job and they give you time off and you show up to work anyway, just sitting there looking dumb.
Yeah, and they're like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, like you're not going to go work on something. You're not going to take a trip or nothing. You're just sitting at work. And so I think that's what it's like, is like you have all this free time now, and God didn't give you the vision last year. He gave you the vision at the beginning of this year, 2 months before we shut down.
Yeah, to
like,
build.
That's not.
And I literally, when I think of the podcast, I literally see it being something even bigger than what I can imagine.
Yeah.
And I feel like God has not, I don't know. It took me to get to 30 for God to give me this.
Yeah.
And I just, it's crazy. But I look at what you're doing and I'm like, that is so fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. You deal with a lot of people. You deal with a lot of people, and you have to come in contact with so many different personalities.
So many, and I have so many too.
Yeah, right.
And I have a bunch of personalities. I think it's more hard when it's pretty easy until something happens, like something in your personal life happens. Like when my grandma passed, I was just like, my mentor, Anna Kia, she says, but you're going to get hit by a bus. Like, and whenever you're working, you think things are good, life is going to happen. And you have to kind of decide how you're going to deal with it. And I think throughout this pandemic, I was learning so much, not only from them, but about myself, that when my grandma did pass, I knew what to let go of. I knew how to kind of get that peace. Whereas my first grandma passed, I didn't know where to go.
Right.
I was just stuck. I mean, my mom was mourning, so my mom was not the same. I didn't have any guidance because I'm trying to be there for her.
There for her. Yeah.
And I used to have terrors like at night, and that's why I just start keeping busy. And so now I know how to be alone with myself with my grief. I know that I can cry a little bit and I'd be good. You know, I didn't have any terrors with this grandma passing, and, you know, I was taking care of her and stuff. And so it was like really, it was harder on me in a sense of like.
And at this age, you understand life and death.
Yeah.
So.
But when you have, and then I've never had to suck up my tears and go teach.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I did it in college, but that was different. I'm dealing with adults. I'm dealing with kids now. So my grandma passes Sunday. I got to walk in on Monday. I had to be honest. I just sent out text to all the parents like, look, my grandma just passed. I'm going to be at the studio, but Monique is going to teach. Yes, she's a kid, but she's been with me for years. She is very equipped. She has everything she needs to teach. I will be there just in case she does something wrong, and I'll lead her in the right direction. But I have the right to grieve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that is what this pandemic has taught me, is you have the right to feel things. You don't have to be a robot just because you own a dance studio. Like, I'm human just like you. If your grandma passed, are you going to go to work looking happy?
Right.
You know, so I had to, the kids would come up to me, one of the Ariel, unspoken views child. I feel so weird calling her that. Bree's baby.
Right, Bree baby.
She came up to me and she was like, are you feeling better? And I said, yeah, I'm getting there. And she says, can I give you a hug? And I said, yeah. And I gave her a hug. And she's like, I really hope you feel better. And she's got those big, beautiful brown eyes, you know. And I was like, these kids are just so precious. Like, they mean no harm at all.
Yeah.
And they're so innocent. And I've taken the time to really appreciate that over the time, is just even looking at Monique, like, she's annoying as hell. Don't get me wrong, because she be getting on my nerves.
Right.
But I see the innocence of a child. Like, she's a child. You know what I mean? She's a teenager, but she's a child. And so I've been able to, like, really open my eyes to that and see everyone for who they are, and have more patience with them, because I've been stuck with one.
Yes.
For months.
Yes.
So now I'm feeling like I know how to deal with the kids. If they're not doing something right, I'm like, okay, we're not listening, so what do we need to do? You know, talking to them better. So I say I've learned so much about the studio and so much about myself during this time. And even me and Andrew, like, I'm like, you probably proposed to me because you spent all these months with me in quarantine.
I realized that you just love me so much and you can't live without me.
Period. But yeah, so good things have come out of this pandemic. When I look back on it, I'm not going to be like, we were locked down in the house for this many months, and I'm gonna be like, wow, a lot of good things happened since March. A lot.
There's
and I still got to celebrate my birthday.
Girl, and it was good.
It was great.
It was good. It was the
shut
last.
Down the
it was
city.
It was the last hurrah. Your birthday shut down the town.
Oh my gosh.
I think I'm happy that you came.
Oh, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Do you feel like you got everything that you need to say out, or like the important pieces?
Yeah, I don't feel like I'll ever get everything, because there's just so many little things. But I think if no one gets anything else from this podcast, I hope that they understand to trust God, and that God will never take you to what he won't take you through. And that's what I always have to remember, is just is not asking for a bunch of faith, just a little bit of faith to push you with nothing.
Daily bread.
Yeah.
God, give me what I need for today.
Equip me.
Yes. I think that's big.
Yeah.
I think, well, shout out to PK. This your episode.
Right.
PK, this your episode.
Enjoy your time.
Enjoy your time, right? I think that's something that our pastor says all the time, that God will give you what you need for the day. He wants you to live abundantly, and he wants you to be great. He wants you to live. But in the time of storm, instead of trying to run out, ask God to come in, and you will be made anew. Yeah. And
okay, Minister McCoy.
Hold on, PK. This your word. And and so I think another great speaking point is obedience is better than sacrifice.
Had to learn that.
Yeah.
I probably would have had not dozens, but hundreds of kids by now if I would have listened in the beginning, but I didn't.
No, it's okay.
But I don't need them.
Hard head?
No.
Hard head makes a soft ass.
It does. Okay. But I definitely think that if someone is really trying to pursue any kind of business, you have to have a stable foundation. You have to do your research, and you have to believe. And I mean, I've always been a real spiritual person, so I've always, my mom and my dad are just like that. So, I mean, I fall short, but I can't tell my story without making it all about God, because it's literally, I mean, even when I walked into the building for the first time, I had $0. I had no money. The first month I paid rent, I paid from what the parents were giving me. I never paid myself, and I took a little bit out of the checks that I was making. So it wasn't anything that I was equipped to do. Yeah. God equipped me over time, and
if it's His will, it's gonna work. And now it's not saying, y'all,
don't be doing stupid stuff.
Don't say Deanna said. What I'm saying is,
right, podcast number 11.
Right. What I'm saying is that if it's God's will for it to be done, it will happen. And if you slow down enough to listen to it, it will happen. Now you still will have mistakes. You will still have bumps, but those are teaching moments. You will cry. Yeah. But those are teaching moments. Those are, you know, resetting. I always tell people, like, working out wise, if you have a bad day of food, you're resetting.
That's me. You are resetting, yeah.
You're resetting.
And you have to have those moments to where because what are you going to look back on? Like, if I was in the studio right now, this new studio I got, I would have never appreciated it if I didn't remember where I started. And I think that wasn't just a coincidence that God took me there first. Then He took me somewhere else, and then He brought me back there.
Yeah.
So everything just kind of happens in His will and time.
And so this studio is just your name on the lease. This is your place.
Yeah. There was a lot of restrictions the first time. I wasn't able to even do something as much as put a sign on the building saying that I'm here. You know what I mean? My sign couldn't be too big. And then I had to, and shout out to 𝐷𝐈𝐆𝐇𝐉, because 𝐷𝐈𝐆𝐇𝐉 donated our sign, which
she's also has a podcast. Are you talking about,
she sells jewelry, Park Lane jewelry.
Oh, okay. No, I'm thinking of somebody else. I was thinking of, what's his name's wife? She has the 2 girls.
Marisol?
Yes.
Oh, she has a podcast?
Yeah.
Oh.
More something with, I can't remember what the name is, but yeah, she does.
I'll go look it up.
Yeah, it's good too. Shout out to you, girl.
You're so nice, promoting other podcasts.
Yes.
You're so,
That's the only way I'm gonna grow, girl. Oh, wow.
But yeah, so she donated a sign, and that was just a blessing because I wanted a sign so bad, and I was like, dang, I don't want to put no money in it. So as soon as I bought the sign, I didn't put it up because the whole issue happened at the studio. And so I'm taking the sign with me to put it up at the new place. And it's just crazy how everything works out. I mean, I'm still blown away all the time. And so I don't know why I think I don't tell my story because it's not long. I mean, because it's super long. But it also just still shocks me. Like, you know? And that's not even all of it. I'm sure when I get home, I'll be like, dang, I missed that part. Yeah.
No, I want to do a live with people that have came on once the end of the season comes. I want to be able to like sit with people on live and like just kind of talk and vibe out and just because people still have questions.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be good. Like that'll be a good talking point for us as well. The things that you do remember and the things that people ask.
Yeah.
Is going to be important.
Because people are always going to have questions, and I'm always going to forget something.
And they always want to know the tea.
They do, and I mean, the tea is pretty juicy, but the tea is not. The tea cannot all be told because I'm trying to stay professional. But if y'all knew all the tea, y'all be like, wow, she put up with that. But shout out to my team because there's nothing, I mean, God has placed people in my life that have helped me get through this. And you're one of them. You're one of my main supporters. This girl is like, even in high school, I always got the biggest sign yelling my name in college and all this stuff.
Gosh. It was something, I always felt like you were the person that got me into church. I never wanted to go to church prior to that. And the love that I have for you it's not that it's different, but it's different. You know what I'm saying? It's different. And I don't know. I just feel like even if I don't have a lot, I want to be able to give it to you because I feel like you deserve that shit. And not only do you deserve it, but you're so good about helping other people. And I feel like you're one of those people. I'm really trying to, in this pandemic, I have been trying to give people their flowers where they are due and when they can still smell them.
Yeah.
I want you to know how great I think you are when you're here, when we're around each other. I want to be a better friend because I love you.
Yeah.
I want to, you know what I'm saying? And those things are now every day in my mind. Like, I want to check on you guys. I want to talk to you. I want to know what's going on. I don't have to be a part of your everyday and like, LaQuan is your right hand, and that's her position. Like,
she needs it. No one wants it.
But I'm okay with that. But if I can give you $25 to $5 out the month, you know what I'm saying? Like $5 every week, why not?
Yeah.
I know it's gonna go somewhere. I know it's gonna go somewhere good.
Yeah.
I know it's gonna go somewhere good. And so I think you're fucking amazing, and you're an awesome godmother.
Thank you.
Danny just loves you.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like, oh my God, you're such a bad godmother.
No.
You haven't seen a child in months.
I would love for us to schedule visitation, like when she can go for a whole weekend.
Oh boy.
I'm thinking Thursday to Sunday.
Let me check with my mother.
Oh.
And Monique, my other babysitter. And Andrew, let's see.
Right, she calls him Uncle Drew.
Oh my God.
Uncle Drew?
Andrew always talks about how he gets up in the morning and Danny is always like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, like 6 o'clock in the morning, the whole house is asleep. And she's just like,
Danny is she's me.
I don't.
Morning child.
I'd be like, girl, don't open this door. Monique is right next to you. You slept with Monique last night. You wake up Monique. Monique is miserable, 6 o'clock in the morning, playing with Legos. Like, she's just,
I hate this house.
She was like, man, take this kid somewhere. And then I'm like, can you walk her downstairs? You're already awake.
Yeah, take her down.
She is so annoying, but.
All right, so we're going to have 2 parts, obviously. This is part, I mean, it's
an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Woo!
So, okay, so now that we're getting ready to end, what is, you already said it once before, but what's something that you want people to keep? Because you have many redefining moments, but what is something that when they listen to this and they listen to this episode, what do you want them to have taken from it?
I want them to, I guess I'm always just going to say that I want them to, I mean, people that are listening that do not believe in God, I do hope that after this episode you would try them out and see. I mean, there's no wrong. You can't go wrong. You know, if it doesn't work out for you, then it doesn't work out. But
you're like, what's the word? I mean, like when people say they don't believe in God, sometimes, no judgment, guys. When they say, well, I don't believe in God, and I'm like, okay, but what if he's real?
Yeah.
And you had the opportunity to believe in him, and he's like, I don't believe in God. Now you got to go where it's hot as hell.
Right.
But if you just maybe believed in him,
sweat your edges.
You know, sweat your edges out. But if you maybe believed in him, whether he's real or he's not, what do you have to lose? Okay. Sorry, these are your 3 things though.
Yeah. So, I'm doing 3 things?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So my first thing would be that to believe in God or try him out. My second thing would be to, I would say trust the process. You have to trust that everything is already written already. Whether you believe in God or not, your future is already written. Your destiny, your destination, all that stuff. So you really just have to trust the process and live day by day. There's a scripture that I love. I don't know where to find it. Sorry, Google. But it says to not worry about tomorrow because each day has enough trouble of its own, which is so true. And that's what I used to do in the beginning is I would be like, how many kids tomorrow or how many, and I'm worrying about the stresses of today and tomorrow.
All you need is today.
Yeah.
Worry about today.
Why worry about tomorrow if I don't even know if I'm going to be alive tomorrow? You know what I mean? We worry about days that may never come.
Look, maybe not being alive. You might win the lotto tomorrow and you not be...
Screw them kids.
Yeah, fuck them kids. Like, you know, you might literally be in a different headspace.
Yeah.
Your daily bread today is enough.
Yeah.
And tomorrow will take care of itself.
Yeah, well.
Or God will take care of tomorrow.
It's already written.
Who was it? I don't know who. I don't know what.
Who was it?
God, what? I think it was Dr. Woods. I don't know I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that's a song.
Yeah, but I remember him saying that. I remember that. Okay. Anyways,
that is true. And then my last thing I had in my brain, but then I forgot because you said your speech. I'm sliding off this chair. My butt
them
cheeks.
thighs, girl. Them thighs.
Ooh, thighs are alive. And then my last thing would be to give keep your heart open and give to others and give back, and they'll give back to you. And I, like, you know, I feel like every life that I touched or everyone I've come across has eventually poured into me, whether it's verbally, financially, physically, coming and take classes and stuff. So it's really important to just love the people you're around, because you don't know who you're going to need. And God is using people that I haven't talked to in high school. I mean, I think
Tristan is a prime example.
Okay, can we please give Tristan a shout out? Because Tristan, number one, he's not only like a great supporter, he came out of nowhere. I feel like the last year he's just been so supportive.
He literally came out of nowhere.
Yeah, because I've always known him, always loved him, and then he's just been taking class. He brings tons of people every single time he takes class. He pays for them. He pays for himself. He's always present, always a good time. He donated the food for my grandma's service for after the service.
During the pandemic.
He's
not even working right now.
No.
And wouldn't take anything.
I had to slip it into his account. And I was like, look, when people want to bless you, you need to accept it the way you give other blessings, you know?
Yeah.
So you don't know if it may make my family feel better to bless you for that. You don't have to charge us dozens, but God knows where your heart is. I know where your heart is. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for thinking of us. But let people bless you the way you bless them.
Tristan has been
amazing. And he cooks so good.
And he cooks so good.
I'm probably gonna have to call him after this one. Can you make me a peach cobbler?
Oh my God! Can you make me something? Give me some noodles.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Tristan. I had sent him a message recently. I don't know what it was, but just talking about, like, I appreciate you. Yeah. I appreciate you. I think we're talking about your dance class, and I'm like, you don't understand how hard. Like, not that I'm reserved, but I'm not like a dancer, and so
you're a little reserved.
Do you think I'm a little reserved?
Like, you're a hoochie, but then you're reserved hoochie.
Oh, I'm a reserved hoochie.
How many drinks are in your cup?
Yeah. That's true. Mm-hmm. But I told him, I said, I need you to understand that I've been going through this process, and every time the time that I went to the class and you were there, the release, the comfortable, like he didn't give me the opportunity to be like, oh, let me go in the corner. He was like, no, you're dancing with me.
Yeah.
I'm off. He didn't give a fuck if I knew the step, if I didn't know the step. He was like, twerk, 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 twerk. Yeah. Like, it didn't matter to him. And I'm like, you don't understand the seed that planted in my life.
And you see, that's why I love to teach too, is because you, and I'm sure you know this as an educator, you pick up people's energies. Mm-hmm. So when you're teaching and you have a dull class, it's really hard to get through that whole hour. But then when you have people like Tristan giving you this great energy, you're like, hell yeah, like I can do this too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it through. Like, this is exciting. Can we go a little longer? You know? So I'm sure when he brings people, and his energy just changes people's minds.
And he brings so many people. It proves that they trust him. That they trust that they're going to a place where
faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Tristan is a good Cooking with Tris. He's
oh my God.
Amazing.
Okay, first of all, I don't even know what's after PG-13, but make sure you're just older if you watch Cooking.
Cooking with Tris is fine. It's his we're not going to give his personal page.
Okay, yeah.
Cooking
with Tris, is it always appropriate?
Well, he says like inappropriate things, but I mean, everyone says inappropriate things. I love Cooking with Tris. I have never sat and watched someone cook like I watch Cooking with Tris. I love when he this is a sidebar. We were about to be done, but we're talking about people now. Tristan, when he does his opening, he says, "Hey guys, welcome back to Cooking with Tris." And then he goes, "Oh no, that's not good enough."
He walks off.
And then he walks off, and he comes back on, and he goes, "You know what? Fuck it. Like, it is what it is." Every single time, and it's so entertaining. He gives you no measurements, but it makes you want to eat.
It does. Oh my God, his food looks so good.
It is good.
Yeah, but I think that we attract good people now because of who we are now.
Yeah, that's a good point though, because we've had some people.
My knuckles, I'm sorry.
We've had some people around us but that proves, like, as you grow. I used to be really sad when I lost people.
Yeah.
I used to be really sad.
Know. You're so different.
Oh my gosh, I used to be so sad because I hold on to everything.
Yeah.
I want to hold on to you. I want you close to me. Stay. And I don't know what has happened. But now I'm like, all right, well, if you're leaving, you're leaving.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. And I really believe that I guess it goes back to God. I really believe that he will put the people that are supposed to be in my life
at the right time, because everyone has a season,
girl,
and a reason. And I feel like now looking back on the people that are around, I'm like, I needed you at that time, but I don't need you now.
Yeah.
I need
hell, I don't want you now.
Yeah. And when you keep the wrong people around for too long, it's chaos.
It's cancer.
Chaos. And I had a lot of people like that at the studio. And now that they're gone, I'm like, shoo,
yeah.
You just feel a release, because you're not the same person. As you evolve, the people around you have to evolve.
And if you're not, and if the people around you don't change, it proves
that's the wrong people.
Yeah. If you're all not growing, if you guys are all in the same place, and I think PK used to say that, like, if y'all all got baby daddy issues, y'all all don't have no money in your bank account.
Right.
Y'all all piecing up forever.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to piece up forever. I want to be able to take you guys somewhere and pay.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do certain things.
Yeah.
And I feel like that came with growth. So sometimes releasing people and not wondering why, and just saying, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
God, that was on you.
I think that's the importance of having, look, we're all over the place. I think it's the importance of having a strong foundation with women or just your friends, is that, like, you pull me up, I pull you up. Like, you've encouraged me to share my testimony. You've provided a platform for me to share my testimony. You trusted me enough to tell me your vision. Yeah. I try to pour into you ideas and things that you can do. And I think that's really important. Like, Laquana, she hasn't found what she really, really wants to do, like, for the rest of her life, but she finds comfort in helping others. So she helps me so much with the studio. She doesn't ask for anything. She's helpful with everything. Jessica helps when she can. She bring her baby kids. Raquel, even from
all over the place.
Yeah.
Which was Atlanta, San Diego,
Raquel was the first person that sewed into my business. She sent my first $100 as a donation to purchase costumes for my only 5 kids that I had, and I saw those costumes.
Girl, they probably only cost $100 too. Like,
they were just $100.
I did not
$20 a piece on Amazon, and I was so excited. And there's just so many people, even from high school, that have just poured into me and just gave, and you almost feel bad, because I don't really talk to some of the people that give me, you know what I mean? After they give to me, I'm like, oh my God, I have to keep reaching out to you. But they don't need that. God has put it on their heart to give to you. Rather, it's people that want to share their story in your podcast. Like, sometimes it's hard to get effective people. And I think so far you've gotten a lot of good people on your podcast. And these are just people that want to tell their story, and you've sown in them and they've sown into you. Yeah. And you help each other out.
And it works. And I feel like that's important. Like that, like, it's always about planting the seed. And that's what relationships do. That's, you know, like, when I think of people, you just brought that up. Jeanette, I can't even think of Jeanette's last name. You used to dance with her.
Oh, Jeanette, well, now it's Villarreal.
Yes. Yeah. We have been connecting on Instagram. And one day I took Danny to daycare. And I really just needed a break. And I took her to daycare, and I posted, like, I'm by myself today. Look, nobody's in the car. And she sent me $10. And she's like, this is for you to have your mommy drink. Like, this is on me. And she's so, like, motivating. Girl, get it, run and do this and do that. And it's like, yeah, I need that. And when she sent me the $10, I cried. It wasn't because I didn't have $10. Well, you guys know, I just cry a lot. But it wasn't because I didn't have the money. Yes. It wasn't because I didn't have the money. It was because she thought of me in a way where she's like, I just want to be there for you. Yeah. And I've been asking God to do that. Yeah. Show me who it is. Give me them and correct me. So now when I'm, like, wrong, not even wrong. There was a misunderstanding not long ago and I was talking to Pooh about it. And I'm like, listen, I don't know if I did that. I can't remember. If I did, I sincerely apologize, because my intent wasn't that. Yeah. And I feel like I want God to put people around me to say, I'm wrong, or and that wasn't my intent. And they know that wasn't what I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to be hurtful, or I need to grow, or help me in this area. Yeah. And I feel like that's what he's doing.
Yeah, you've grown a lot.
I have.
Yeah, even just in the pandemic.
Girl.
That's pretty
And I'm
good.
getting skinny.
Yeah. As
Oh.
I'm gonna just let you just keep saying that.
I'm gonna be fit.
She's about to be out of control. Lord Jesus, help us
Listen,
all.
ooh,
'Cause, oh my
the
God.
day that I could walk around with just freely half naked, no jiggle.
Look, I can't wait until you invite me out because you really want to go to the club or something, and I'm be like, I'm ready to go. What time are we leaving?
I'm
And I owe that to you.
No,
I do.
don't.
I do owe it to you.
No, because
It's
your
gonna
birthday,
be 2 hours in.
You know what? Anyways, you guys, listen, because when the pandemic is over, we're gonna have my first season like fiesta.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
it's
yeah,
gonna
you can
be-
have it at the new studio.
Yes, we can. And I'm gonna invite everyone that came
Mhm.
on, and we're gonna eat and drink and be merry.
Yeah. That'll be. Wait, only the people that were on the thing?
Well, if they want to bring somebody, but you know.
Oh, like small?
Yeah, because what if we're still in the pandemic? Well, I suppose we
Yeah.
go back to work September 14th, and we'll have to be tested once a month. So
Yo,
it'll be okay.
The test is horrible. I got sick, and look. Okay, this is a sidebar, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
I think Andrew had COVID in like December, and I think a
Oh.
lot of people had it in.
David definitely had it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had it. I got checked for the flu in January, and they stuck that thing so far up my brain. I was like, if I had COVID, and I pray to God that I never get it, but if I do ever have it, I'm just going to go ahead and self-quarantine. You ain't got to stick that thing up my nose. I'm just going to assume that I have it. And I don't care if I got to stay in the house for a month.
Yeah,
I don't like that thing.
They are talking about opening school again as of September 14th, and we will have to be tested once a month. And it just, unfortunately, that's a whole nother story. But
That's close, September 14th.
It is. I don't think we're gonna make it past Labor Day though. I think after Labor Day, the numbers will go back up because people think that it's gone because you do want to open schools and they do want to do all this foolishness.
Yeah.
Foolishness.
And then flu season's gonna come and we're all gonna be locked down again. So it's like, I already told everybody they're not getting anything for Christmas.
That's right.
Yeah, I have too much. Like, I need to save for the wedding and I need to save in case of an emergency.
Well, we're canceling your birthday anyway, so it's okay.
No, next year is my 30th birthday.
It's canceled. You're getting married. It's canceled. Everything is
Nah.
for the wedding now. Canceled.
I got decoys in for his bachelor party. I already lined them up. He don't even know who they are.
Anyways, we're not telling you more secrets. Guys, I am so happy that you guys were able to spend this time with our girl talk. It is going to be a part 1 and a part 2, and we'll have to find a good place to cut it.
I know.
Because we've just been talking, but the redefining moments, the moments to take away, and Destiny will be back again because this works.
This works.
You can't come all the time, but you can come sometimes.
Yeah, I can't come all the time because I hate hearing my voice.
Oh,
excuse me. I just drooled on myself. Give me more drinks.
Right. Give me more wine. Thank you guys for tuning in. I cannot wait to learn, grow, and redefine who we are together. I love y'all.
Woo!
Yeah.
I finally memorized what you said at the end.
That was good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You need to talk.
I knew I was gonna have white stuff.
You need to call Joe's black ass and tell Joe he needs to come on. He does not want to come on.
This is so juicy now.
It's okay. Can you stop the video?
Oh yeah.
I'm super excited.